The manga reading log, an endangered species that's about to just die off on MangaTube. I'm kidding, okay? I'm not trying to start any drama. I love my MangaTube friends. Hello all my otaku friends, my name is Profitaku and welcome back to my channel. This is my July manga reading log. I read over 50 volumes, honestly not as much as I was hoping to, but I got a Nintendo Switch, so yeah, that took up some of my time. But this month was a fantastic month. I got through a ton of TBR, finished a lot of series, and I have a new top 10 series of all time. What is it? Stay tuned. So normally I save the best for last, but because everybody just wants to leave 33% of the way through the video, we're going to start with the best first, and that is Blank Canvas, My So-Called Artist Journey. So this is a new mangaka I had no idea about, Akiko Higashimura, and she is the same mangaka who did Princess Jellyfish, so very, very popular series. This is an autobiographical work, 5-volume series about her journey becoming a manga artist, growing up, and her relationship with her art teacher called Sensei. When I tell you that this manga was the biggest surprise that I've ever had reading manga, I'm not lying to you. I've never read an autobiographical work before, or really just non-fiction manga in general. So I came into this with no expectations, but no excitement either. And man, was I shocked. If I can compare this manga to one thing, think like Blue Period, but just done way better. Way more funny, better characters. There's not so much information dump going on in the art world. It's just really, really fun to see. So you get all those really cool aspects of Blue Period. You get the art school process. You get creating art. You get to see all the different types of art being produced. But also you're getting a perfect blend of comedic hijinks by Higashimura sensei based on real events in her life, which is absolutely hilarious. And you're also seeing a really, really beautiful teacher-student relationship that just tugs at your heartstrings. This manga absolutely nails the ending. It is one of the best endings I've ever read in manga, definitely in my top 5 for sure. So this is a 7 Seas release. You can find this pretty cheap on cheapmanga.com. Sometimes it comes up there, so I highly recommend everyone check this out. If you're looking to get into a new mangaka's works, you're not gonna be disappointed, because I sat back and I was like, this is just a beautiful story, and it's so heartfelt, and it makes you really think about the connections that you have not only with your friends but the people who are most important to you, and making sure that you foster those relationships as you continue to grow up. Next up here, I finished Cromartie High School. I read volumes 16 and 17, so that finishes the series for me. And what do I have to say about Cromartie High School? It ended just as randomly as it started. It was just an absolute mess. Now, not a mess in a bad way. It's just that Cromartie High School really strives and thrives on being random and being gag and meme, and that's exactly how this ended. There was just no definitive storyline. It just done, the end. And it just made me laugh, because that's exactly how this manga should have ended. If you are looking for a fantastic comedy series, you love delinquents, you love randomness, you like doing the flipping the page and then the gag is on the last page, then I highly recommend this manga. A lot of people love this manga on MangaTube, the ones who have read it, that is, and it is just such a fun time. Next up, I got up to date with Yotsuba. So I read volumes 13, volumes 14, and volume 15. So that is the finish of the series. Hopefully we see more. Here's the thing with Yotsuba. Yotsuba went on a very, very long hiatus. It took this volume 15 about 4 years to come out. Who knows when we're going to see the next volume. But what I will say about Yotsuba, I've talked about Yotsuba in the past, so I recommend you check out my other reading logs if you want more of a simple synopsis of it. But I will talk about the last 2 volumes and say that with the hiatus, there was a breath of freshness that happened with this manga. I felt like the events and the situations that Yotsuba got in just hit really, really hard in a good way. And I think that the comedy was just top tier. And I will also say that the artwork is absolutely phenomenal in volume 15. I think what he does is that he takes reference photos and then he puts them into a digital kind of thing and then makes it black and white and then draws the characters on top of it, very similar to Inio Asano, and it just really is a wonderful thing to see. I love it. I implore you to check it out. I won't shut up about it, and if you don't check it out, I'm coming to get you. Another manga that I finished and got up to date with is Maison Ikkoku. So I read volumes 7 to 12 or volumes 5 to 8 in the omnibus format. And what I will say about Maison Ikkoku, I had very high praises of this manga at the beginning. And what Rumiko Takahashi does is that she takes a story and she shells it out over about half a volume. And it's really interesting, really different. And then she just stops the idea and then moves on to a different idea without finishing it. And then we never get it again. I don't understand why she did that, but it happened a couple times in these set of volumes, and it really kind of irked me. And another thing that kind of irked me in the rom-com trope is rom-com indecisiveness. We got indecisiveness from both the main character male and the main character female. Is it annoying? Yes. Do I feel like it's just dragging on? Yes. So that is where I think Maison Ikkoku gets its downfall. Hopefully things are better in the last two omnibuses. That being said, this is a really, really fun rom-com, super underrated, and between HVL Manga and I hope everyone just checks out Rumiko Takahashi. So here we are with a couple of series that I started this month and finished this month. First up, we have Takahashi Murakami's Stargazing Dog. This is an out-of-print one-shot, 4 chapters long, super, super depressing. It's basically about this dog who journeys with this guy as he loses his job and his family, and it's just a beautiful encapsulation of just similar to Blank Canvas, you know, going through a journey with somebody and fostering a very simple relationship. You're looking at things through the eyes of the dog. You know, the dog doesn't understand what's going on, but the dog's like, look, like, let's play. Feed me. Uh-oh, daddy's hungry today. And you're just like, oh God, my heart, like, oh God, this is gonna be so bad. But what the mangaka is able to do in 4 chapters is really, really mind-boggling. For you to be able to get entranced and hooked with the characters and the story with a really unique art style, it's really something masterful to see. And what's also really cool about this is that we get 2 chapters as one story, 2 chapters is a sequel story that connects to the first story. So is this one worth reading? Absolutely. Read the scans of this. This is very out of print and really hard to find, but yeah, I'm happy to have this in my collection. Super unique manga that I think everyone should read, especially if you have a pet. Next up is a manga I picked up on a whim, and I did not expect to like it, but I really, really did. And that is Ojojojo volumes 1 to 4 in these omnibus formats by 7 Seas. This is by the same mangaka who did Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. If I can explain this manga really simply, it's basically if you like 4-koma, if you like episodic manga, you like a very simple cast of characters, you like a tsundere type, and you like a loner boy type, that's what you're gonna get with this. And the tsundere type is very, very similar to Toradora. So if you really like that anime, manga, light novel franchise, you're gonna love this. And then comparing this to another work, Tomo-chan is a Girl, which is another 4-koma rom-com. They both nail the 4-koma formula, which is very simple progression of relationship along with a cast of characters that is not humongous. We're only talking like 5-6 characters in this whole manga that rotate in and out. You have a side relationship that does not do anything to impede the main relationship, which is just so important to me. Now, I will say with this manga only being 4 volumes, the relationship progresses really, really fast, to be honest with you. And each volume kind of encapsulates its own little mini arc, and then volume 4 does something really kind of weird. It went in a direction I just didn't see going, and that's fine. That's what they wanted, the mangaka, but it just kind of broke the flow for me, so I get why this is like rated like a 7.5 on my anime list. But if you're looking for like a super chill rom-com and you like this like really cute art style by the Kobayashi Dragon Maid mangaka, I highly recommend you check this one out. Okay, let's talk about some ongoing series that I'm currently reading right now, or manga that I've started and haven't finished. First up is Blue Period Volume 7. We're into a new arc. This was, of course, it was a great volume to me. But, you know, to be honest with you, with the complaints of this manga, like the information dump, it's a little bit boring. They don't like the characters that much. I totally see that, to be honest with you, because there's some characters that are introduced in here that I don't necessarily care about. I can see this manga kind of dragging on. And so it's kind of, this volume encapsulated the issues in the first 2 volumes. 4, 5, 6 is still fantastic. But yeah, Blue Period, I'm getting hesitant now. Next up are 2 light novels. I read 86 Volume 7 and 86 Volume 8. What I will say about 86, I basically talk about it every month because I try to read 1 volume a month. This is a kind of a slice of life volume, which was really refreshing. I actually really liked it, even though the community says that this volume is like the worst one. I thought it was actually really good. 86 Volume 8, the world was super cool. It was really hard for me to follow what was going on, and I can't tell if it was because I wasn't in the mood to read a light novel or what, but yeah, I just struggled to read this. But when I finished it, I was like, oh man, like I wish I would have just like focused more, because the whole premise of this volume 8 was really, really cool. So when I think about light novels in the perspective of a manga reader and why we have issues reading light novels, that's just because there's just so many words and they're so big, and you feel like you're not progressing at all when you're reading this. So that's a toughie to swallow. But yeah, I continue to enjoy 86, and I've only got 2 more left, so let's get up to date with this one. Next up is My Dear Nokaton Volume 1. This is just so underrated. It is so underrated by 7 Seas. It's basically about a girl who is a deer, and then this girl right here who is a delinquent or former delinquent, and it's their just unsuspecting relationship at school. It is so funny. This whole manga is basically a meme, so you just can't take this thing too seriously. If you like Azumanga Daioh or you like Nichijou, this is exactly that. So it is so funny. Don't let the ratings kind of skew you one way. This is what needs to be on your shelf if you want a comedy manga. Next up is Doughnuts Under a Crescent Moon Volume 3. We are getting into the nitty-gritty of the drama and the self-realizations and the character progressions between all of our different kind of relationships going on. It's actually quite nice. I really, really do enjoy this Yuri manga. I wish it would go further than 4 volumes, because I feel like some things are going to need to be shelled out a little bit more organically. But that being said, this is a very nice office adult romantic relationship, Yuri relationship. I highly recommend this one. Next up is Sakamoto Days Volume 2. Everybody's reading Sakamoto Days. It's fine. It's good old-fashioned Shonen Jump. I have nothing else to say about this one. Next up here is Run on Your New Legs Volume 1. I really like this manga, actually. It was really one that I was surprised that I would like, but not really, because I do like sports manga. But what I do like about this is that it gives us a glimpse into this really unique world that I had known nothing about, which is really cool to see all the different prosthetics and the running and the athleticism that these people go through. It's really, really cool. And so this is something, if you're looking for a sports manga that's a little bit different, something short, it's only 5 volumes long, that does a really good job at storytelling and pacing between action and understanding and explaining this disability really, really well, I highly recommend checking this one out. And a shonen manga that I dived into, and I told myself I was going to do it. It's been probably 5 months since the last time I read this. I started Water 7 of One Piece. So I read volumes 33 to 39. So I'm going to finish the rest of Water 7 next month. And my goal is to go ahead and just talk about it then. So I won't say too much about this right now. But what I will say is that I totally get why Water 7 is so much better than Skypiea from a storyline perspective, not in terms of like the lore, but in terms of just how things are planned out between the information dump, the world immersion, the lore illusion, wow, I just can't talk anymore. But I just found myself to be enjoying this read a lot more in terms of just flipping through the pages and just wanting to keep knowing more about this world, and also join the Straw Hat Pirates on this wonderful journey through this really interesting city. So yeah, I'm enjoying this so far. I'll give you more and more complete thoughts next month. Okay, and here we are with a new series that I started this month by Hagashimura Sensei, the same one who did Blank Canvas, and this is Princess Jellyfish. I read volumes 1 to 4, and what I really loved about this manga is that it is a perfect, just like Blank Canvas, a perfect blend of simple, concise storytelling with really fun characters and a really interesting dynamic between all the different parties. I think that this is just such an original idea with otakus and business people who are trying to take over this otaku's apartment. You've got an eclectic cast of characters with all the different otakus liking otaku things, and of course you get absolutely hilarious and beautiful artwork. It's a lot of fun to see. The only gripe I have about this manga is that I feel like some of the characters are definitely throwaways, especially some of the otaku girls. Along with this, I also have an issue with there's basically most of the time like 2 different storylines going on, and sometimes it just jumps back and forth, so sometimes it's a little bit hard to follow. But I will say that just like Blank Canvas, I love this. This is great. I love Josei, and I implore you to read some more of it. Okay, we have some manga that I dropped this month, or I finished and I sold off. I do not have them here. First up is Cheeky Brat Volume 3. I'm done with this series. I have no intention of reading anymore. I don't care about the 2 main characters and the relationship. I think the relationship is really annoying, to be honest with you. I really don't like the main character male, especially. He's just like a really aggressive jerk, and I don't get it. I just don't get it at all. I think that the girl who's putting up a front as kind of the tsundere type, but it's like kind of a pushover, and then this whole love triangle thing going on, it's just not good. I just don't like it at all. So yeah, I'm sorry. I know people really like this manga, and I know 23 volumes and it goes through different like generations, but I just can't even get past the high school thing. Oh God. Next up is Mermaid Saga Volumes 1 to 3 in the Omnibus editions. Rumiko Takahashi is the mangaka. This started really strong. Interesting premise. You've got these people who turn into mermaids, and the mermaid flesh gives you immortality. So it's a short story collection of people trying to get this flesh to become immortal. You have this guy who wants to not be immortal anymore. He's lived for over 500 years. So it started really strong, and there was a really strong idea like, hey, this guy needs to not be immortal anymore. But the issue with this manga is that it just like forgets that. It's very similar to Maison Ikkoku. She had an idea and then she just like let it go, and then did some like more mystery thriller stuff like later on. It just wasn't my favorite thing. It just didn't stick the landing at all. There was no ending at all. So yeah, I read it. I was like, okay, this is good, but I don't want to keep it anymore. And last up is Madoka Magica Wraith Arc Volumes 1 to 3. This is not animated. This is actually a manga original that bridges between the original series and Rebellion. I read it. I was confused. I didn't like it. I didn't like that I was confused for the whole manga. And then on the last chapter, they did like an info dump, like kind of revealing what was going on. And then it just had no impact on the whole arc in general. Like, I just felt like this whole manga was just unsubstantial to the world of Madoka Magica. Thus, I was like, forget it. I'm just going to sell it. Last up here is a stack of manga I'm not going to talk about in this reading log because I have mentioned them in the past, or I have plans for them in the future. First up is Madoka Magica in the Omnibus Volumes 1 to 3 here. And then we have Madoka Magica, The Different Story Volumes 1 to 3. I plan on doing a Should You Read Sunday on this, so get ready for that. It's going to be a really fun review because I really want people to understand what the manga is, see if they can compare it to the anime, see which medium they want to absorb absorb, or if they want to double dip. Next up here are 2 volumes, The Identity Deities Know Only Peace Volume 1 and Yashahime Volume 1. I talked about both of these in my Volume 1 Should You Read Sunday review. I will link a card up in the top right hand corner so you can check that video out. And last but not least, we have a graphic novel, not a manga. This is Petrograd by Philip Galat and Tyler Crook. This is a historical fiction manga about the assassination of Rasputin during World War I in Russia. Super, super cool. I did a whole Instagram post on it, so I will link that if you are interested in reading more in depth about it. But if you want a graphic novel, this is a great one to dive into. I think the artwork is really, really cool. It kind of gave me like Taiyo Matsumoto vibes, to be honest with you. It was like that kind of story. So yeah, I really liked it. And that is it for my manga reading log for the month of July. Thanks for making it all the way to the end with me if you stuck around. I can't wait to show you what I read for August. And as always, if you enjoy my videos, please hit that like button, tap that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that you know when more of my videos come out, and I will see you in the next one. Take care now. Bye-bye.